And so on the 14th of October, just before 7 p.m, Cassper Nyovest posted a picture of AKA holding Biliato on his Twitter with a caption introducing the new brand ambassador of Biliato, mix it with lemonade. Around the same time, that same post was then posted on all these social media platforms, including Facebook and Instagram, and it created some confusion. Some people immediately noticed it was fake because it had a hybrid tag, whereas a lot of people who don't even know who or what hybrid is or even see the tag started resharing the announcement as if it was real. Moments later, AKA came out with a statement saying that picture was manipulated, and considering his partnership with Cruz, Cassper's announcement was ill-considered. And since then, there's been an interesting legal debate around intellectual property, specifically as in if Cassper Nyovest can actually be sued and the chances of that lawsuit actually being successful. It is important to note that a lawsuit is under civil law and the standard of proof is actually more relaxed than it is under criminal law, which means we balance probabilities as opposed to proving things beyond reasonable doubt, which is very critical. To start off, what was wrong about the situation? It is actually both the false announcement and the picture. But to start with the picture, it is technically illegal to edit someone's intellectual property without their permission. So Hybrid, who took AKA's picture holding another alcohol brand and photoshopped it, adding Biliato instead, had violated AKA's intellectual property rights. For example, Tracy Chapman sued Nicki Minaj for an unauthorized sampling of his music for a track that was basically never released but was still available online to a certain extent. And even though that may have been American law, in this regard, intellectual property is similar. You need as much permission to edit as much as you need final approval to release such works in the public domain. And in this case, I doubt Hybrid got the permission to do either of these things and therefore infringed on AKA's intellectual property rights. There were some comments from people suggesting that AKA could not sue Cassper Nyovest because Cassper Nyovest himself did not make that picture, which was a very big misunderstanding because Cassper's actions of downloading the picture from Hybrid's Twitter page, then deciding to upload it on his own social media pages with an additional false statement saying AKA is the new brand ambassador of his own alcoholic brand, are very separate from Hybrid's unauthorized edit and publication of that image. And what I mean by that is that Cassper Nyovest's statement, even without that picture, was enough trouble for Cassper already. That is because of personality rights or rights to publicity, which are rights for an individual to control the commercial use of their identity, such as a name, image, likeness, or other unequivocal identifiers. For example, former Argentine football player Diego Maradona sued Italian fashion house Dolce & Gabbana for an unauthorized use of his name. The lawsuit related to the use by Dolce & Gabbana of Maradona's name on a football jersey worn by a model during a fashion show in Milan. Maradona claimed that the defendant was exploiting his name and taking unfair advantage of his reputation by misleading the public into believing that there was a commercial relationship between him and the defendant. The Milan Court of First Instance found in favor of Maradona, determining that if a sign or a name is well known, it cannot be freely used by a third party without the permission of the right holder. South Africa, however, does not have specific protection of image rights because our legislative house is full of people who are only interested in using parliament as a stage to ascend to executive power and not for its legislative duties per se, which means that certain parts of the South African creative economy don't actually have legislative support because most of the laws that get passed are either race-baiting or related to a political agenda. Likely though, for AKA, certain parts of our common law in general do at least offer some protection to personality rights. In the case of Khumalo vs Cycle Lab in 2011, the South Gauteng High Court held that a recognized form of falsification occurs when a person's image is used for advertising purposes without his or her permission, creating the impression that such a person has consented to such conduct or supports the advertised product, which is exactly what Cassper Nyovest did. Image rights can also be enforced by a way of common law action of passing off, or by instituting trademark infringement proceedings. The law of passing off prevents one trader from misrepresenting goods or services as being the goods or services of another, and also prevents a trader from holding out his or her goods or services as having some association or connection with another when this is not true. It can be considered passing off, for example, when Cassper Nyovest puts up a picture of aka supposedly holding Biliato, then announces him as an associate of his alcoholic brand. The statement is also defamatory, and that is because defamation of character does not only apply to a person's good name but reputation as well. This is important because aka is not only just a big general media brand, he's also a rapper, and in hip hop it definitely affects a person's reputation if your biggest known competitor somehow says you work for him. So even though this is generally a passing off case, it also has some defamation elements. But perhaps the biggest problem potentially is that Biliato may also be involved in this, and that is because Cassper Nyovest himself has said that he's the main shareholder and CEO of Biliato, which means that he's the main agent of the company, legally. A company's agent can act for the company and in some cases legally bind it. Agency is a term that refers to the relationship between a principal, who may be a person or a business, who engages an agent, who is another business person, to act for the principal. To easily explain this, shareholders appoint CEOs, who are referred to as agents, and relinquish control of a company to the CEO as the main agent. Cassper Nyovest may be at the same time a director, shareholder, and a CEO as he claims, but we'll mainly focus on him specifically being the CEO of Biliato because although the company's and Intellectual Property Commission has listed Cassper Nyovest and David Pollock DeMott as the directors of the company, being a director may not mean that you're an agent of the company, but being the CEO means that you are. In fact, in South Africa, anyone dealing with the CEO of a company is entitled to assume that that CEO has the authority to act on behalf of the company, even though he or she may lack that authority. Such assumptions arises pursuant to the doctrine of ostensible authority, which refers to the apparent authority of an agent, here being the CEO acting on behalf of the principal, being the company, as it appears to third parties with whom the agent interacts. In this case, it will be the general public. To easily explain this, Cassper Nyovest tweeting about Biliato is almost the same thing as Biliato itself tweeting saying aka is their brand new ambassador. Some people in the comment section suggested that the case wouldn't stick because it was a joke, but it is always important to remember that a joke is not a valid legal defense, and being the CEO of a company means that you may have to behave differently. Zanzi A-listers estimates that aka can come out of this whole thing with his own McLaren worth of damages, and we have opted not to include Cruz's legal stance in this video because we could not verify if they have the exclusive use of aka's image rights, as well not include Biliato's other shareholders potentially suing Cassper Nyovest as he has not acted in accordance with the Companies Act, which requires him to act with reasonable care, skills and diligence. But ironically, both Biliato and Cruz have been linked with Blue Sky Brands and David Pollock DeMott. But you guys tell us what you think about it. Comment down below, like the video, give it a thumbs up.